Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Gem Mint Collectibles. I'm here with another recent reads video, and this time I'm going to talk about New X-Men by Grant Morrison. So, as I was doing my every X-Men Omnibus release so far, came across this, realized I haven't read it yet, and I wanted to dive into it, man. So, New X-Men collects New X-Men 114 through 154 and New X-Men 2001, which I guess is an annual. Here's a gallery of the covers. So, I've read Wolverine and the X-Men, Uncanny X-Force, and Avengers vs. X-Men, and I didn't realize that this run really sets up those story arcs. What you have in New X-Men is basically a team. You have Cyclops, Wolverine, Professor X, Jean Grey, and Beast. So Beast is undergoing a second mutation, and he's starting to look more feral, looking more like an animal. And that's a theme within this book, is that, you know, the mutants, you know, when you hit puberty, your mutant power comes out, or if you have severe trauma. But now they're realizing that there's other stages in the mutations. This run introduces us to a lot of new characters and old characters with, you know, who's turned a new leaf. So this is where you get Emma Frost joining the X-Men. This is where you get Phantom X. This is where you get Zorn. And who else? Beak. Well, he's not really a big character. But a lot of the students that I remember seeing in Wolverine and the X-Men, you see them in here. So here's the cover for the first issue in the book. I gotta be honest, not a big fan of the art in the first half of this book. The jackets look very puffy and like wrinkled, you know, and has like a very, you remember MTV's The Head? That type of art style, or Beavis and Butthead type art style. But basically what happens here is Professor X no longer wants to hide behind masks and under the guise of superheroes. So their outfits kind of change up to something that's a little more, you know, normal, which is like these black leather jackets with the yellow X. And I feel like, I don't know if the first X-Men movie borrowed from this, more than likely. Because that kind of gets thrown around in that first X-Men movie. Like, what'd you expect? Yellow spandex? So, what you have here is that the human race has there's some kind of new plague that's going to wipe out the human race in the next 4 to 5 generations. And every time a species is going to go extinct, a new species takes over, and I guess the new threat. So the whole idea here is that humans are almost done. Mutants, which are Homo superior, are going to take over, but there's a new threat that is the species that will eventually wipe out the mutants. I'm trying to think of what they called it, Homo perfection or some shit like that. So that's kind of like the overall storyline, and within the different arcs you have another Sentinel Master mold. Actually, here he is right here. That's been surviving on its own, creating these like little rogue Sentinels that are not perfect Sentinels from like the 90s cartoon, but little Sentinels made out of hubcaps and little bullshit, whatever they can create themselves with. So it introduces that. It introduces Cassandra Nova, which is we'll see if we get a little picture here. Here she goes. She looks strikingly familiar to Professor X. So I don't really want to talk spoilers. So what can I say without spoiling it? I guess it's safe to say that Cassandra Nova is Xavier's sister, twin, that was with him in the womb. That they actually fought in the womb. This is also where, so Emma Frost, she's always just been a telepath, but this is also where she goes through her second mutation and gets her diamond form that we all know and love today. So, what else can I say about new X-Men? Here goes that puffy wrinkled jacket again with Cyclops. So Cerebra, which is like a form of Cerebro, plays a big part in here, and you know they got the school going. They wanna do kind of like in the X-Men movies where they recruit all the mutants, give them a safe haven, but the problem is the humans are protesting outside of Xavier's mansion. A whole thing goes on. I don't really want to give out too many spoilers, so let me think of how I could word this. Basically, Professor X, with his new realization of not hiding behind masks, announces to the world that he's a mutant and that the X-Men are mutants and all this kind of stuff, and they just want to have a safe haven school. There's a little twist in how that all goes down as well. We also get Angel, which is actually the Angel from First Class, I believe, the female chick who has like this projectile vomit power and like these bug kind of wings. She's introduced here. Let's see what else we got going on. The Jean Grey Phoenix thing happens. So here's some really cool art about Phoenix, next to some not cool art about Wolverine. So the art's kind of sloppy. Now, the only other Grant Morrison thing I've ever read was Animal Man, which was awesome. This was also not too Grant Morrison-y, so it wasn't like over your head or anything. It was a pretty fast read. I mean, I must have read this in a few days. So let's get to the next arc. What else do we got going on here? So you got the Stepford sisters. I think there's originally 5 of them. That number ends up decreasing. Here they go right here. You get the Shi'ar get involved. There's Gladiator. They get involved, but they don't really play a big part. That has to deal with the whole Professor X and Cassandra Nova story. Then you have Zorn. Now, Zorn is a mutant that his mutation kicked off and a tiny star formed in his mind, in his head. He has no brain. It's just a tiny star, and they have to kind of put this iron mask over him, and he has these healing powers. Now, there's a huge plot that has to do with Zorn, which I was a little bit confused with because I thought I remembered reading and seeing Zorn in the other issues. Now, I don't know if I missed something in those issues on who Zorn is, because he ends up being somebody who we know, right? So I don't really want to get any further than that, but he's a really cool character. Up to before that, I kind of wish they never had that twist with him, but I don't know if he goes back to being Zorn later on in Wolverine and the X-Men. So here's the second appearance of Phantom X. Phantom X, I definitely like the character. He's a cool character. I know him from Uncanny X-Force. The first Uncanny X-Force is kind of in here with Cyclops, Wolverine, and Phantom X, willing to do what they got to do without the X-Men knowing about it kind of thing. But Phantom X is a cool character. He has like 3 different personalities. His nervous system is not in his body, so he doesn't feel pain. He's got this I don't know if that Eva is like his little spaceship. I don't know if that. I think that is his nervous system. I don't think that comes out in here, but I think that comes out in Uncanny X-Force. But it's basically like this. Think about like the T-1000 that can change form with like liquid metal, and it's really it's like that sometimes. But then it also could be very bionic, right? Bionic? No. What's the word I'm looking for? Bioorganism, some shit. I don't know. Anyway, you get a lot of the Emma Frost and Cyclops relationship building in this book. One of the big things in this book is that Magneto is in Genosha with 16 million mutants, and the whole place gets bombed to hell and everybody dies. So that starts a whole big controversy on humans versus mutants. So, Oh, also, this introduces Quentin Quire. So Quentin, I know him as like the real big rebel hotshot from Wolverine and the X-Men with the pink hair. And this is where he actually gets the pink hair right here. But I like his character a lot. So this was his origins here. It was cool to see. A lot of stuff circles around drug use in here. It's funny, man. So he's actually doing it right now. He's got this inhaler. It's called Kick. And what Kick does is it amplifies your mutant powers for however long. So here we go. Here's a lot of characters that you end up seeing in Wolverine and the X-Men. So they're doing this drug for freaking... Everyone does this shit, man. Magneto ends up doing it. I think one of the Stepford sisters, or what do they call them? The Cuckoos, does it and then uses Cerebra to amplify the powers. And there's a lot about that. There's a lot of underlying drug use issues with that too, which is pretty cool, I guess. Playing with real life stuff. So Professor X, he ends up getting his legs back in this run, and he's able to walk. You got to read more to figure out what happens with that. Here goes this puffy jacket again. Look at Cyclops. What's up with that, man? I guess I should have had this up the whole time. So what else we got here? So this is not really a spoiler. So Emma's dressed up like Jean Grey. Jean Grey busts in. She's with Cyclops. They're having an affair in their minds. So nothing physical, but I guess that's still cheating, right? Check this out. Emma Frost getting shattered in her diamond form. You got Feral Beast right there. So I want to talk about Beast. Let me see if I don't want to skip anything though. So basically you get into a Phoenix storyline here. And we end up, here's Eva, that like spaceship looking thing with Phantom X. So you get into this whole Phoenix storyline. You end up jumping 150 years in the future. It's like almost like an Age of Apocalypse future. So you have Beast, who's like all white. They call him a different name. I'll see. I can't remember. I'll see if I can find it back here. But he's engineering these mutants that are fucking everything up. So the type of mutants he's engineering is like an army of Nightcrawlers with Cyclops powers and wings. And they're devastating, man. They do some damage. This was a cool scene with Wolverine and Phoenix. And they end up on Asteroid M, which is Magneto's old base from the Jim Lee run. And it's heading towards the sun, and that's actually what triggers the Phoenix resurrection. And it's a badass Phoenix storyline. But then it jumps to the future. Here goes some cool Phoenix stuff. It jumps to the future. And I don't want to really give anything away. It jumps 150 years into the future. It shows Beast with his friggin', he's kind of a little bit crazy now, and Wolverine's there. Beak's grandson is there. What the hell do they call Beast? I forget. I want to say it's like something with an S. What is it? Supreme or some shit like that? Oh, here it goes. So here's Beast 150 years in the future. Looking like a white lion type of dude. Here's a better picture of him. It's a pretty cool futuristic villain of Beast. What the hell's his name again? I forget what they call him. The art is much better on the second half of this book. Anyway, the Beast thing is not that important. That's only a part of like a 4-issue thing. So anyway, yeah, man, I enjoyed reading it. I kind of wish I would have read it before I read Wolverine and the X-Men and Uncanny X-Force and everything, because it definitely leads right into that. but now I'm going to read Astonishing X-Men. So I guess, that's going to bridge the gap even more. I understand that follows this right away. So cool stuff, man. I enjoyed it. I'm weaning into Grant Morrison. I've read his easier writings. I definitely recommend Animal Man, which is not like a traditional superhero book, even though it's it kind of wants to make you think that it is, but it's really not. Anyway, let me know what you thought about New X-Men if you have read it. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. If there's anything that I missed or that I forgot or that I said wrong or whatever, let me know in the comments. But yeah, man, that's it. That's New X-Men, Grant Morrison, Gem Mint, recent reads. Thanks for checking it out. Catch you guys later. Peace.